we'll try not to fall down the rabbit hole too early, but where do you come down with the way coding and development is evolving the last few years now that we've got coding assistants and all that stuff with AI?
Up until the end of last year, it was a nice to have and it was helpful, but like there was a point in November, December where the world changed even more in the coding space.
It's time again for another episode of Shop Talk. I am joined today by Ronnie Thomas. He's the VP of Technology Solutions for a little trucking company called Werner Enterprises you might have heard of. They got a few trucks running around out there. Welcome. Appreciate you taking some time and joining me on here today. So how long have you been over at Werner?
17 years, so a pretty good chunk of time. Learned a lot, started in the kind of the logistics side of the house, helping our logistics organization grow and get better, and then kind of moved into, that was more on brokerage, then worked on intermodal, did some final mile work, and then kind of got into, most recently, into the asset spaces as we start to modernize our transportation management system, and then continuing to enhance it now with infrastructure and cybersecurity.
So VP of Technology Solutions, what does that actually mean for your day-to-day? I mean, it sounds like you've probably got a lot of things cooking at all times, but just kind of walk me through what that role is for you over at Werner.
Sure. I have multiple responsibilities. I have the infrastructure side, the cybersecurity or information security groups, our engineering groups, which are more of our cloud engineering, cloud architecture groups, the things that we're building to either differentiate ourselves or to do with integrations. And then our enterprise architecture teams that are kind of looking holistically at our modernization efforts that we've been going through in the organization and trying to piecemeal how system-to-system connectivity would work. And then just general responsibility for overseeing some of our modernization efforts. So keeps the days going by fast. So
I was going to say, it doesn't strike me as anything that you can get bored with very quickly.
No, that's for sure.
That sounds like a handful. You said you started in web development? Is that?
Yeah, well, it was always in web development. I was part of a group at Union Pacific that was administrating the basic web servers and trying to get more of the business groups to utilize the functionality, and so I started my career there, but pretty quickly moved on to a local .com that was trying to grow its business, and it was back before you had Visa gift cards, it was a gift card company. And so, which is still around today and doing B2B work, so pretty successful, but it was, just kind of continue to stay in that web space for most of my career.
Did you always know that was something you wanted to get into? Was that like, starting out with that's what I want to do, that's what I'm going to go to school for, or was it,
No, absolutely.
How'd you
So I always had a fascination with computer science and getting into that computer world, but my family was largely physician-based family, and so I had that lean towards going towards the physician route. I quickly took organic chemistry and found out that wasn't for me. So, and so I started, so I started the computer science route, and I loved it. I loved being a coder, being able. I remember our startup days. Our president would come in, ask for, hey, we need personalization in the website. We need it by tomorrow. And my friends and I, we would stay all night and just code away and deploy to the next day. Back when you didn't have to worry about our cyber troubles as much as they are today, mm-hmm. and have those things released out by morning and new users using the new functionality. There was no better time than kind of that startup startup phase where you just go all the time.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that's a very different speed and a different mindset, than as you work your way through, and as the technology has modernized, we've had, like you said, we've had a lot more concerns that we have to kind of be aware of with development now. What do you think? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's been interesting to see through my career, like working for, like I worked for Conagra Foods for a while and Union Pacific for a while. Here you are, Fortune 500s, Fortune 100 type companies. Then the aspect of the startup world and how those startups used to function, and now in the transportation area where it is startup heavy today, like where everyone wants to be, and rightfully so, helping the transportation sector, and still trying to mix that in with being in a Fortune 1000 organization. So
everybody I have on here and we start talking, it's like, so how did you get where you are now? And it's always a bunch of steps through different areas of the business, and and that's one thing that I think is really cool about logistics and the transportation industry in general, is that you can be in the industry, you can even be in the same company, and you can dabble in so many different areas over the course of your career.
I think it's interesting because the last, prior to Werner, I probably would have changed jobs every 2 to 3 years, or because I was looking for that next challenge, that next thing that would drive you. That is never lacking in the transportation space, right? So almost every 2 to 3 years, my job here has evolved and transformed and been more challenging as we've kind of moved forward. And so it's ever changing, but I love the environment.
Yeah. Now, what other industries were you in before transportation? Where were you prior to?
Yeah, I was with, I did a couple .coms in the past, giftcertificates.com, promotions.com. I did start my career out at Union Pacific, so I worked there for a little bit as a web administrator way back when. And so been kind of in that retail stock space, promotions and marketing spaces for a while, and then came here to kind of help with our at the time we were building a transportation management system and help the team kind of take that to the next level.
I always kind of grumbled about the shortcomings in the systems that we use, and there's always something that it was good enough at, but it wasn't exactly what we wanted it to do. And I always had on my wish list building an in-house TMS, and I very quickly realized the scale and scope of that kind of a project. It's not a 1 or 2 or even 3 or 4 person job,
Yeah, you're exactly right. We tackle that problem, but it's really hard to keep up with the Joneses on that. There's so many people that take a look at that solutions and try to figure out what the best way is. I think it was maybe 7 or 8 years ago, we did an evaluation. We actually evaluated 50 to 60 different transportation management systems. And what we found is that there were good systems for a particular type of business, like an intermodal. Hey, this was the best in class. Our global logistics business, this was the best in class. This was the best one for dedicated. But I didn't want to, or we as an organization didn't want to support 8 different ones. Like, that's not where we want to be. So it was a blessing when we ran into the team at Mastery and the Mastermind application, and that they were kind of focusing on this ecosystem that would bring all of this together. They were thinking like us as a large carrier with a large logistics business, and that was it was great to see, and we've made some good progress there.
Where do you come down? I mean, this is, we'll try not to fall down the rabbit hole too early, but where do you come down with the way coding and development is evolving the last few years, now that we've got coding assistants and all that stuff with AI? Where do you think that, where are we now with that, and where do you see that going?
So I think before, so as I've worked with our team, and our team's kind of been evolving in this space. I would say that most of them would tell you that up until the end of last year, it was a nice to have and it was helpful, but like there was a point in November, December where the world changed even more in the coding space. Because being in an enterprise, you want to have enterprise grade code. And whenever people talked about vibe coding and being able to build stuff, that was great. Like I could build something really quickly. I could build a UI on top of it. I could have function. But I don't know that I would be comfortable as a security leader or an engineering leader saying that that was enterprise grade level coding. And I think we had some engineers on our teams that really took the tooling that was out there and figured out how to make enterprise grade level code. Better quality on the front end with testing, better quality with code reviews, more checks and balances with security reviews. And now we're trying to take that that's kind of being done in pockets, scale that to more developers, and see if we can actually make our outcomes deliver faster, which will really change the game, right? Like the ability to rethink how something's done and not have to worry about the scale of development is it's really mind-boggling at times to think that the engineering side used to always be the long pole in the tent, and now it might be the shorter pole. And what does that mean to all of the rest of that ecosystem on the engineering world? So I think I see a lot of potential for it.
That's kind of where I come down on it too. I mean, if you look around, you hear everything from, there are no more developer jobs are going to be available to, AI is going to eat the world and everything in between. But I think that, we're at the early stages. I mean, before there was an internet, we couldn't see around the corner to see exactly what was going to happen in technology and in industry with widespread use of the internet. And I think we're kind of at a point now where we've got this technology and we're starting to be able to use it and starting to sort of see where some of the pitfalls and limitations might be, but we still can't see around the corner of, a few years down the road or even a couple of years down the road with the speed that this is evolving. We don't really know where it's going to go ultimately, but I think it is wise to be looking at it as a force multiplier with a healthy level of skepticism on how quickly to just throw it in as the solution to everything.
Right. There's definitely checks and balances that we need to continue to have. The reality is like some of these things that the agents can create are so massive in scale and so large that we can't necessarily review every single line of code. So we have to figure out how to stretch it. How do we put different agents to check the code versus the agents that are creating the code? How do we use other tool sets that are validating things, from the security gateways, like all of the things that we can do to ensure that the agents are doing what they need to, but also the code is being built in the way that we want it. I think your point's right where we say that people they don't know where to fall on the spectrum, and I think some people are just waiting and seeing, but I don't think this is a world that we can wait and see. Like we have to be able to move forward and start to take advantage of these things, and we have to incrementally learn. Now, when I put my engineering hat on or take my engineering hat off and put my security hat on, like there are definite concerns in that world, but I have to be, from a security standpoint, we have to be able to push the limits so that we can deliver outcomes to our customers that are both taking advantage of AI and securing us with AI. Like there has to be this middle ground, and if we have to push and push and push to be not the no in the room, right, but like this is how we can do it, then we need to do that.
That's so important to not be the department of no and slowing down progress, because you're right. People that aren't organizations that aren't keeping up right now are getting exponentially further behind the curve. And it's not a long game here as far as like, do you adopt or do you not adopt? It's how quickly can you adopt securely and efficiently in your organization is really kind of where we're at, I think, with this technology.
You kind of alluded to it earlier with the reference to, like, do people think they're going to have dev teams in the future, right? Like, I do believe you will have developers in the future. And I think where the industry, not even just the transportation industry, but the development engineering industry is making a mistake today, is that they're not recognizing that we still need the young talent, right? The junior talent that's coming out of school that knows things or that has researched and built stuff, they are having tougher times right now finding that work because everyone wants mid-level to high-level talent. But the reality is, if we don't give them the opportunity to get their feet dirty, we won't have mid-level talent in 5 to 10 years, and that's going to be another problem for us. So, we're really trying to focus on getting interns, trying to focus on making sure that those junior positions are there so that we can do it. But we also are trying to figure out how do we take advantage of that code set so that we can, I believe you used the word, right, to amplify our talent. We want to amplify the talent. We don't want to eliminate talent. We want to amplify it.
I think I just heard an opportunity for anybody that's looking for internships or early in their career, who might be listening. They may want to consider transportation.
Yeah, for sure. Why not, right? Like our industry, I mean, you know this as well as I do. Our industry is ripe for the picking, and we are just, there are so many things going on. Like I know there, even in my hometown here of Omaha, Nebraska, people look and see Werner Enterprises, and they don't necessarily see that in the same light that they see like a Google or other technology-focused organizations. But when you come into these walls and you see what we're doing with tech and where things are going, like, we're pushing the edge. And I think a lot of my peers in the industry are trying to do exactly the same, because we live in a low margin world. We have to become more efficient and effective with the people. We have to figure out how to do things better. And amplify not only the devs, but every single person in the organization, and our customers and our carriers and everyone that we are working with, and especially our driver force. And so that has to be the focus. And so it's a great time to come into transportation.
I tell everybody that I meet that works in security or tech in any way, who isn't familiar with what we do in transportation, because they see it as trucks going down the road, picking up freight in one spot and dropping it off in the other. I'm like, no. You have no idea. There's so much more that goes into it on this end. If you want to play with, kind of like you said, the leading edge of the actual applications of some of this technology, it takes it out of the abstract and just testing and researching cool stuff into, you can really dramatically affect the supply chain and have a real world impact through technology in this industry, which is pretty exciting. So Omaha is where Werner is based out of. Is that where you're from originally, or is that a relocation because of Werner for you?
No, I came here for college, so I went to Creighton University here and kind of stayed here ever since. Met my wife here locally, and she was a local, so I ended up hanging out. So
okay, all right, yeah, I totally get that, because I'm actually back personally. I've moved around a fair amount, but I'm back literally in the town I grew up in. So it's once you find a spot, my wife married a local as well.
Yeah,
so
that's funny.
We ended up here.
I don't think as an 18-year-old, when I was picking college, that I figured that I was picking somewhere where I'd be raising my kids through college and all of that stuff. But it's worked out great. It's a great city.
Nice. How many kids do you have?
2, both in. So one is actually in the cybersecurity field. He graduated in December and just got his first job here a couple weeks ago. And then my other is going to be a sophomore at the University of Lincoln, and he's dual majoring in data science and finance, and so he'll be interning. He's actually going to be interning this summer in the data teams here at Werner.
surprising how quickly that happens. They, starting out young and then off to college and
Yeah.
doing their own stuff.
I don't know what you think, but I think it's a super exciting time to be able to come into tech. I mean, it's a hard time to come into tech at the same time, but the possibilities with some of the technology that are coming out now, what they could do, I can, knowing how my friends and I were coding back in the day, some of these tools that could have accelerated us even faster back then, it was just amazing. So
I'm excited to be in tech, and I'm,
right.
I've got only a certain amount of runway left in front of me, but
right. I think we joke around here. People are talk about what's your 3-year strategy or a 5-year strategy, and how can you even have a 6-month strategy with some of the advancements that are happening in tech today? It is amazing. We're constantly having to adjust and pivot and make sure that we're ready for the next thing. So
yeah, I mean your 3-year plan or your 5-year plan is to keep up with the technology. That's your strategy. That's easy. It's a short plan.
Yeah,
that was crazy. Your one son is going into finance and data science. Is he interested in going into finance as a focus, or is he interested in doing that possibly in transportation, kind of following you this direction?
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. I don't know. I think he loves data and math and figuring out problems, and so I think he loves that area. His mom's on the finance side, and so he also dual majored there. And I think, with the fact with numbers and Fintech would be a really good space for him. There's, again, there's so much opportunities inside of the transportation space. I know multiple startups that we are actively working with that are in the Fintech space that are helping transportation, and I think we'll only see more of that. So we'll see where he ends up, but I think just getting some, getting his feet underneath him and seeing what it is going to be the main thing. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So I always like to ask people, because obviously when you're in this line of work, most of your waking hours are probably involved in this line of work in some way. You're either thinking about it or actively engaged in it. But so what does Ronnie do other than transportation technology? Do you have outside of that? What's kind of what keeps you going?
So I do a lot with charities. My wife and I. There's a charity called Special Spaces that does dream bedroom makeovers for kids with cancer, and my wife and I started the charity in Nebraska back in 2018, and it's a national charity. So we started the Nebraska chapter, and it's done a little over 30 rooms since that time for kids with cancer, and we've personally done 27 of those, and kind of handed the reins over to a director that can get paid and do it full time, because I'm a little busy on the day job, but we're still doing 3 to 4 rooms a year, and love to do that. Otherwise, it's if I can find time, it's to get out and golf, but I am lacking in that time. So
yeah. No, that's awesome. That's, I mean, of all causes, that's that's really cool. You're involved.
Yeah, we wanted to. Our kids were not yet teenagers when we started it, and we wanted them to kind of have an understanding of what the world was like, or that we're lucky and not everybody's lucky, and try to be able to help and give back, and that it's not all about video games and hanging out. So I think it's been great for them and great for us. So
very cool. Wow, what an awesome way to spend your time, for sure. Yeah. As far as the golf thing, I've tried that a couple times.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go well. It hasn't gone well. How do you make that judgment call of I think this is worthwhile, I think this is going to make us more efficient, but you only have so much leeway really when it comes to trying things that are new. So how do you How do you make that decision, I guess, is what I'm asking.